everybody, Matt Bell with the Electric Violin Shop. We've been doing different price tier reviews of the electric violins in our shop. Sort of started with that $500 to $1,000 price range, and we went up chunk. We have finally arrived at the high-end electric violins. We've got several to talk about. We've got the MSI Renaissance, fantastic violin. ZETA Jazz Fusion, there's a couple different versions of those we're going to get into. The Fourness Fuse, we've got the Jordan violin, and we've got the Wood Viper. So the MSI Renaissance, Dan Maloney is the guy that makes these. He is a former luthier at ZETA, works out of his shop there in California. These are beautiful, beautiful violins. I don't know if you can see all the work on these things. Really, really beautiful, beautiful handiwork on these things. Super, super nice looking violins. They look very traditional. They don't have F-holes. You can see they've got the arch top, flat bottom. That's the MSI Renaissance. Super clean, super clear sound, real nice acoustic-ish thing. If you want to hear a guy who is a far bigger star than me play one of these, you can listen to Damien Escobar. Really, really sweet violin. Like that a lot. All right, so the next one, we're going to go over to ZETA World. People are always asking questions about ZETA. We're actually going to do some ZETA stuff. This is the inimitable Jazz Fusion. This is probably one of the most iconic electric violin shapes that there is, and we can thank Jean-Luc Ponty for that while we're name dropping, right? This is actually, we sort of jokingly call this the brain one, just because of the shape of the grain on this. Really, really beautiful violin. Flat bottom, the back, you got some screws to get to the 9-volt battery back here. It's got this, it's got the MIDI output on here, as well as a 1/4 inch 9-volt preamp. It's got the bout that screws in here that can come out. It's got the bridge is sort of designed like this for a couple different reasons. One is to give us some isolation when we're doing MIDI, so I got one string doesn't trigger all the other ones. The other piece is that there is actually two pickup elements on each side, and they're positioned 90 degrees apart from each other to give us some phase cancellation and get rid of some noise and hum and all that stuff. So there's a whole lot of technology sort of packed into this little bridge right here. Really sweet, and they sound fantastic, of course. It's a really unmistakable sound. So here's a little bit. So that's the ZETA Jazz Fusion. Really, really sweet violin. Like this a whole lot. So sort of keep that sound in your head, because we're going to its cousin right now. The cousin of that one, of course, we mentioned Mr. Ponty before. This is what we call the full Ponty. It's got the imbus neck on it. It is the Jean-Luc Ponty signature model. It's got the double cut on the top. It's got the same ZETA Jazz Fusion bridge, but it has the Jean-Luc Ponty 1992 reissue preamp in it. I'm trying to think what else is different about this. Yeah, it's the same color as the Jean-Luc Ponty violins, that tobacco burst 5-string. This violin, when ZETA was resurrected, of course, a few years ago, they actually got a hold of an original Jean-Luc Ponty violin, and they've gotten all the dimensions. They've copied it as much as possible with a couple of minor adjustments. They did change a little bit of the design of the imbus peg so it wouldn't split out as easy. That was sort of an issue with some of the other ones. So that is sort of one improvement needed to be made, and it was made. playing for you, you can hear what it sounds like. Same type deal on the back. On the back, got the 9-volt access with the preamp in the back. So speaking of cousins, we've got another cousin to all these. When ZETA went away a few years ago, Evan Fourness went, he was a lead luthier at ZETA, went and opened his own shop. And actually, we talked before about the MSI. Dan Maloney was a luthier at ZETA. Evan Fourness was a luthier at ZETA. So you're starting to see a pattern here, some of these high-end violins. A lot of it all came from ZETA back in the day. So this is the Fourness Fuse. It looks very, very similar to the ZETA. The headstock's a little different. I'll actually show you the standard ZETA. This is the ZETA. This is the Fourness. You can see the headstock's a little bit different on those. The pickups are a little bit different, but not necessarily so much to look at. When you look at this Fourness pickup, it's got sort of that same type thing where you've got these two elements on either side. This one does have a 13-pin MIDI, where the ZETA is using an 8-pin MIDI and then a custom cable to convert. So the ZETA and the Fourness will all, they all do talk to the GR. I'm looking down here like you guys can see that. There's a Roland GR55 synthesizer here. It's the latest generation of guitar synthesizers. Of course, that's what we got to work with because they don't make violin synthesizers yet. The bout's a little bit different. The removable bout's a little bit different. This is the ZETA bout. You can see that, and this is the Fourness bout. Just a little bit different, but same kind of concept. The sound, though, Evan's done a lot of work with the Evan Fourness has done a lot of work with the pickup on these. So they do sound a little bit different than the ZETAs. So this is the Fourness Fuse. A little bit different from the ZETA. Pretty similar in a lot of ways, but different. This is a Jordan violin. This is a Jordan 5. When we go extended range, you have to sort of make some compromises with string spacing and the angles. As you sort of look down the angles here, they actually make some compromises with the angles. John makes some really cool decisions when he's doing the angles and the spacings, and 4, 5, 6 string, 7 string, they're all very, very playable. It does have the guitar style tuners on it, which I really like because it's way better than trying to jam a piece of wood through another piece of wood. The shoulder rest, it's a Kuhn shoulder rest. It's basically built into this. Because it's built into this, you have to have a custom case, and that actually comes with the instrument. And John does a lot of custom work. He made us one actually one time. Did not have an upper bout. You can see there's no upper bout on this. He can put an upper bout on there. Somebody had actually asked him to not put the thumb stop on here. And so he made one just a straight neck. John will make pretty much anything you want. He really does a lot of really super cool custom stuff. And of course, no discussion of high-end violins would be complete without the Wood Viper. I've been playing a Viper for almost 20 years. These are fretted. Most of the Vipers that you see out there are. They can make them fretless. And there's actually a couple different options on frets. I will say that John Jordan makes fretted violins. ZETA also makes fretted violins. MSI and Fourness, to my knowledge, do not, although I don't know if they would do one on a custom order or not. That's always a possibility. The Wood Violins frets are different. They're a little lower. If you see these from the side, they don't have a lot of height on them, right? I guess you guys can see that. They're not as high as the frets on like a mandolin or a guitar. We've done extensive discussions on this. If you want to know more about fretted violins, just go to YouTube, type fretted violins. Our video is the first one that comes up. And we talk a lot about the different kinds of frets, but just so you know, the wood frets are a little different. They're a little lower. You can feel them under your fingers, but they don't actually break the string They allow you to play a little more fluidly on the fingerboard, but you still get the benefits of having frets. And then of course there's the patented chest support system where you don't hold the violin holds you. So you can do both hands free type stuff. It's very easy to turn your head while you're playing. You can't do that with any other violin really. A lot easier to put on a good show and be entertaining when you've got one of these on, because your head's free, or you can have your hands free. And you can sing, you can talk, you don't have to have your head cranked over here like this. The Wood Violins Vipers, they got two different pickups they come up with. This one is a Barbera. They do have a house bridge they call the True Tone bridge. We've got a video on YouTube and on Facebook that I actually played a True Tone and a Barbera sort of back to back, and you can hear the difference. The short version, basically the True Tone is more of like a clear, thin, bright sound, and so that's what you're looking for, more of that sort of acoustic sort of clarity. The True Tone is the way to go. If you want a little more beef, a little more muscle, then the Barbera is the way to go. What does it sound like? Well, it sounds like a Barbera and a wood violin. So. So the 7-string on this is a low B flat, E, A, D, G, C, F, B flat. And the low B flat is a whole step below the bottom note of a 4-string cello. This is the MSI again, Dan Maloney's creation. ZETA Jazz Fusion, the Jean-Luc Ponty version, and that's with the imbus neck, the 5-string, the MIDI output. It's got the Jean-Luc Ponty preamp in it. Tobacco burst finish. These things are hot. These things do not stay on the shelf long. The Fourness violin, which is sort of a close cousin of the ZETA. You know, the Jordan violins are just very different from your traditional violin, but stunningly beautiful. And then some people want just the raw innovation and sort of that metal thing that you get with a Viper. So yeah, and that's why there's all these different violins, because there's so many different applications. You really can't go wrong with any of these. You know, we have people go, man, you know, I just don't want to make the wrong decision. You're not going to go wrong with any of these violins. And of course, once you get up above that like $3,000 price range, craftsmanship is amazing on all these violins. The tone is amazing. The colors, the wood, just everything on these violins is really impressive. And that's why we sort of, I mean, that's why they're as expensive as they are. I will say that we sort of feel like $4,000 or $5,000, $6,000. Wow, that's crazy expensive. $6,000 acoustic violin is, you're not even at like a pro level violin yet, right? Not even close. So it's not uncommon for an acoustic violinist to say, you know, I've gone out and spent $30,000 on an acoustic violin. You can't plug that thing in, man. You only get loud enough for like you and 2 people next to you to hear. Can't even put distortion on it. That's crazy. So the price range for electric violins is very compressed versus what it is for acoustic violins. We sort of feel like the Yamaha YEV is probably the lowest priced electric that you've got about 100% chance that when you get one, it's going to be a nice, beautiful sounding, playable instrument. Sort of get below that $500 price point, $600 price point, you're gambling, right? There's all these sort of deals that you can find on eBay, and you know, these $200 and $300 electric violins. The vast majority of them are not good. We'll say that. But you know, with an acoustic, you can get a $200 or $300 instrument that's playable, and then you can get a $30 million instrument. So there's a huge range, wider than my screen will do, right? We'll just pretend you can see my hands. So wide price range. On electric violins, it's very much compressed. In our minds, it's sort of 600 to maybe, I don't know, 6,000 is sort of the price range of where you see them. So yeah, I mean, you can't buy a top of the line acoustic violin unless you're a Kardashian or something. But just about anybody who really makes it a priority can get a top of the line electric violin. Throw any questions you have in the comments section. Emails at info@electricviolinshop.com. You can call us here. Our website is electricviolinshop.com. All the information you need is there.